you. Welcome to the You're Not Getting Any Younger podcast, a podcast for people who want to disrupt their lives for a good reason, to make it count. I'm your host, Jen Glantz, and every week I'll drop a new episode with stories from real people just like you, who woke up one morning and decided to make big changes, starting with small things. We'll cover topics like entrepreneurship, love, failure, and self-care. Hey, you're not getting any younger, so let's make this an adventure. Ready? Today's podcast is brought to you by Thinkific. Thinkific is the #1 platform to create, market, and sell your own online courses or membership sites. They have revolutionized how individuals earn and learn online by building an all-in-one platform designed for both course creators and their audience. Try Thinkific for free today at try.thinkific.com/Jen Glantz. That's try.thinkific.com/Jen Glantz. You are going to love it. Hey, any youngers. It's me, your host, Jen Glantz, back with another episode of the You're Not Getting Any Younger podcast. We have officially entered the summer season, which means it is podcasting with air conditioning season. And what I mean by that is, I know the #1 rule of podcasting is that you shouldn't have your AC on when you podcast, because sometimes you can pick it up and people can hear it in the background. But here's the deal, my friends. It is scorching hot in New York City. It honestly feels like it is 100 degrees outside. And for me to podcast and really do it right, I have to have that air blasting. So for the next couple of months, welcome to Podcasting with the Air On by yours truly, Jen Glantz. I am so excited to be podcasting today because this week Adam has been in Chicago for his job. So I spent the whole week in this apartment in Brooklyn. And the tricky part is he's almost like my coworker because I work solo. I don't really interact with a ton of people throughout the week. The most interaction I get is on Zoom calls and then occasionally seeing some friends at the dog park. But that's it for a given week. So when he's not here, the only person I have is Goofy. And there's only so many conversations I can have with her before even she gets a little weirded out by that. So I'm excited to get on and share some of the things that I have been thinking and feeling this week as I have been here solo. #1, I have been trying to cook this week. It was my goal not to spend very much money. I also wanted to work on some of my cooking skills, and let me tell you, that has been a disaster. My friend Heidi this weekend was like, Jen, you should start making sweet potatoes. It's so easy. They're healthy for you. You can't mess it up. And I was like, Heidi, I have tried to make sweet potatoes so many times in my life, and I never am successful. And you're probably thinking, too, how can you possibly mess this up? Like, you put the sweet potato on tin foil, you poke a couple holes in it, and you let it sit for a little while, and then you put it in there for an hour, right? Well, I don't know if it's my patience, my oven, or my timer, but every single time I've tried to make sweet potatoes, they never fully cook. Yesterday, I swear to you, I left it in for over an hour and I was like, okay, it's definitely done. Yes, I should have checked it, but whatever. I turned the oven off. I put the sweet potato on a plate. I go to cut it in half. It is hard as a rock. So once I messed that up, I literally made microwavable rice and vegetables from the freezer and was like, this is the extent of the kind of chef you're going to be. Now, I'm a pretty stubborn person in this world, but I'm also a person who really values self-improvement and getting better at things. I'm also a person who really understands that if there is something I am not good at that I don't want to learn, it's going to be impossible to learn that. And also, life is too short. And cooking and baking are one of those things that I don't enjoy. There is nothing about it I enjoy. I'm not good at it, and I don't want to learn how to do it. I can cook my 3 staple meals, and that's going to be it for me. How am I going to survive in this world? Maybe some frozen foods, maybe the help of Adam, and maybe finding healthy takeout options, which I know is not good to do all of the time, but sometimes it just has to work. This past weekend was Memorial Day weekend, and that's a popular weekend where a lot of people pack up and go. They go on trips. For me, historically, it's been a weekend where I've stayed in New York City. I absolutely love being in New York City during the summer holiday weekends because the city feels empty. So many New Yorkers go away, they go to their beach properties, and they just go to all of these different places. And the city feels walkable. It feels sort of like it's your own because there's like significantly less people there. So this weekend, Adam and I did a bunch of random adventures. One of those adventures included cleaning out our apartment. We think we're going to stay here another year. So we started to throw a bunch of stuff out, donate a bunch of stuff, and empty it out a little bit to hopefully redecorate for our next year here. We also took a trip up to Westchester, which is a suburb right outside of New York. It's a place that I don't know if I'd ever want to live, but I enjoy going there because there's all these really cute towns on the water. We went to this town called Larchmont, which has such a beautiful view by the water, and we walked around there. I also got to see so many friends this weekend, and by so many I mean 2, but to me that feels like, I don't know, it feels so beautiful to see friends and to be able to hug them, and it made me realize and appreciate the simplicity of friendship sometimes. We all have different kinds of friends, and some of us have the types of friends that when we get together with them, it's a whole process. They're the kind of people that only want to get together with you if you're going to a fancy restaurant or a happy hour or a club or an activity, right? We have activity friends, and there's nothing wrong with that. But then we all have these friends that we can get together with and literally do nothing with, and it is the best time. I got together with my old roommate, Carrie, and we did nothing. I mean, we literally didn't do very much. We sat around, we talked, and the night passed by, and that kind of friendship is something I truly value. I also had one of my friends over to go to the pool this weekend, and we just sat by the pool for hours and hours and hours and talked. And that, again, was so nice to be able to have a friend that you can pass the hours with and just talk about everything and anything. Those are the kind of relationships I don't take for granted. I have yearned for my whole life, and reminds me of the beauty of the kinds of friendships that don't involve very much except for 2 people, maybe a bottle of water or wine, your choice, and the comfort of just being able to open up and chat. You know, what was funny is my friend that came over this weekend, we were both sort of venting about our lives, and neither one of us were venting for advice. We were just venting for human comfort, which is also such a beautiful thing in friendships. Like, she would share a story about something that upset her, and I would try to give advice, but we both realized that's not what we were looking for. And then I would open up and get something off my chest, and it felt like this therapy session. And if you have people in your life that you can just vent to and talk to without the need of getting their advice even, or of having them solve your problems, it's so incredibly therapeutic and beautiful. Another thing I did this weekend is go to my number 1 favorite store, Home Goods. I love Home Goods so much. If it's a store you like, you walk in there and you feel like you're this professional home decorator. I mean, it just makes you feel so inspired to decorate a home. We live in like a 500 square foot box, so when I go there, I have to be so careful about what I take home because we don't have space in this place. We literally have 2 closets in our entire apartment, and they don't open because they're stuffed. But we went to Home Goods. I got a couple of like these colorful pots and bowls to put as decorations on our windowsill. I like how it looks, but I've had some opinions say that it looks like a grandma's apartment would look, because like some people's grandparents have like statues and pots, and it has fake flowers. So I was starting to second guess my decor options, but I love a good Home Goods. And that's really like what we did this weekend, and it felt perfect. It was like the perfect adventurous weekend without a point. I was talking to my friends about hobbies, and the truth is, I don't know very many people who have hobbies anymore. Like, when you're on dating profiles or you're making small talk at networking events, people are always like, what's your hobbies? What do you do for fun? And honestly, most of us just lie. We're like, oh, we do this, this, and this. But like, those are things you do once every 6 years. Like, if someone asks me my hobbies, I'm like, yeah, I like to travel and play guitar and, you know, all these things. And it's like, well, then the follow-up question should always be, when is the last time you did these things? And I think it will surprise you how a lot of people don't have hobbies. They have activities they occasionally enjoy. Now, there's some people out there that have hobbies, like they play soccer 3 times a week, or they actively read a book a day, or they have these hobbies that they really do. But so many people I know don't have hobbies. And I want you to know that that is okay. Rather than stress out about having to find things that you love at a certain age and do them with passion and do them with all of your spare time, we should start to think about pick-me-ups. Now, my Monday morning newsletter is called the Pick-Me-Up newsletter because it's about the little tiny things that can happen during the day that can change our mood, that could literally pick us up out of a place we don't want to be in and we don't feel good in. When we talk about pick-me-ups, they sound a lot like hobbies, but they're tiny doses of those hobbies. Let's say you're somebody who loves to bake, but the art of baking is so time-consuming and it's not something you do often. Maybe a pick-me-up is that you buy yourself a simple baking cookbook with recipes that take under 5 minutes. And during a day when you're feeling down, you pick one of those 5-minute recipes and you make it. Maybe you're a person whose hobby is travel. So your pick-me-up can be something that you can do at the spur of the moment on a Tuesday when you're not feeling great. And as cheesy as this sounds, maybe it's watching a 5-minute YouTube video of a city that you want to travel to, or opening up a guidebook of that city and reading a couple of pages, or even just picking a part of your town, a new restaurant, a new place you can go that makes you feel like you're getting away when you can't. Hobbies are things that we want to do when we have the time and the money and the energy. But pick-me-ups are things that we can do any single day of our life, no matter where we are and what we have. So my challenge for you today is to think of 10 random pick-me-ups, things that make you feel so good. Some of those things can cost money and some of those things can involve a little travel, but most of those things should be absolutely free. Should be things that you can step outside of your comfort zone, your cubicle, your couch, and just do when you need it. Some of my pick-me-ups are as simple as going for a walk to see water. That's my goal. Find water. And some days I interpret that differently. Some days that means going to the East Village, but other days that simply just means going to find a water fountain, which I know sounds sort of funny, right? But that's a pick-me-up that I strive to do no matter where I am with what I have. Another one of my pick-me-ups is to call friends and have long conversations with them. I used to be scared of talking on the phone, but over the pandemic, I have learned to love it. And another pick-me-up I have, which again is super free and easy, is to blast music and shut my door and dance like I am at a club. I love the art of dance. I love the art of music, and that always refuels my soul. So today, rather than thinking of all of these hobbies you have to toss into your life and then feel bad about not being able to do them, think about your pick-me-ups. Make a list and hold it close to you so that when you're going through the things you go through, you have something that can help you get through it. I'll be back next week with a new one. All my love, Jen Glantz.
Hey you! Thank you for listening to the You're Not Getting Any Younger podcast. There are hundreds of thousands of pods out there, so thank you for listening to this one. You can find the show notes for this week's episode up on our website, anyyounger.com. Subscribe, rate, and review the You're Not Getting Any Younger podcast on iTunes so that other ears around the world can listen too. Oh, and join our secret You're Not Getting Any Younger Facebook group, where over 1,000 people are talking about how to disrupt their lives, for good reason, to make it count. Until next week, all my love, Jen Glantz.